Landing on Kessara, the Galactic Council sent humans to die on Kessara because humans were cheap and easy to replace. Captain Daniel Foster did not care about the politics. He cared about keeping his team alive on a world that did not want them. The landing craft descended through clouds that looked like poison. The sky was purple and yellow, twisted with lightning that could burn through metal. Below them, the ground was red and black, covered in things that moved. Things that had claws and teeth and hunger in their eyes. Amanda Webb stood next to Daniel as they suited up. She was his second in command, and she had survived worse places than this. Her dark eyes were steady. She did not show fear. She showed only readiness. "How long until we die?" asked Kevin Chase. He was the engineer, a man with big hands and a quick brain. He asked questions that nobody wanted to answer. "We don't die," Daniel said. "We survive. That's what humans do." The airlock opened. Wind hit them like a hammer. The temperature was wrong. The air was thick with chemicals that their suits had to filter. The ground shook under their feet. Patricia Morris stepped forward next. She was the biologist. The planet was her job. She pointed her scanner at the horizon, where massive shapes moved through the red dust. "Life signs everywhere," she said. Her voice was calm but tight. "Massive ones. Some bigger than anything in the archives." They walked down the ramp. 12 humans. 12 explorers. 12 soldiers. The Galactic Council had given them a simple mission. Map Kessara. Record the deadly life forms. Find any useful resources. Do not come back alive if it means the mission fails. The dust got into everything. It was fine and sharp, cutting at the suit seals. The temperature swung from freezing to burning hot in minutes. Daniel checked his team. Everyone was moving. Everyone was breathing. That was what mattered. The first creature they saw was massive. It had scales that caught the lightning from the sky and threw it back like a mirror. Its head was long and shaped wrong for any animal Daniel had ever studied. It turned to look at them. Its eyes were gold and old and filled with something that looked like intelligence. Amanda raised her rifle. Daniel put his hand down. "No," he said. The creature watched them. It did not attack. It did not run. It simply turned away and walked into the dust cloud, disappearing like smoke. "That should not have happened," Patricia said. "That creature should have attacked. The data says everything on Kessara is aggressive. Everything kills." Daniel did not answer. He was thinking about the eyes. Eyes like that did not attack without reason. They made camp near a rocky outcrop that gave them shelter from the wind. The team set up sensors and scanners. They tested the water. It was not poison. They collected samples of the red soil. It was not toxic. Everything the Galactic Council had told them was wrong. Night came fast on Kessara. The temperature dropped to killing cold. But the storm moved away from them. The wind shifted direction. The creatures that should have been hunting them in the darkness stayed away. Kevin pointed at the readings. "Something is wrong with the planet's magnetic field. It is moving, shifting directions. The readings show it is moving around us. Around our camp." Patricia looked at her screen and went white. "The creatures outside. They've stopped moving. All of them. The big ones, the small ones. They are all stopped, waiting." Amanda checked her weapons. "Waiting for what?" Daniel looked at the darkness beyond their lights. He thought about predators. He thought about how animals acted when they were protecting something. He thought about how humans acted when they were trying to survive. "Waiting for us to understand," he said. Around the camp, in the dark, Kessara was watching. The planet itself was aware and intelligent and desperate. It had been calling into the void for help for a long time. Now, for the first time, someone had answered. Someone had come down to the surface and not died immediately. The Galactic Council had sent humans to die. What they did not understand was that humans were very good at doing the opposite. Daniel sat in the command tent and made notes. The creature's behavior, the magnetic field shifts, the way the weather was changing around them, the way every deadly thing on this world was keeping its distance. Tomorrow we go north, he told his team. There is something here that wants us to find it. Something important enough to stop all the killing. We find it, Amanda nodded. Patricia was already running analysis on the data. Kevin was checking the suit seals, making repairs, preparing them for another day in hell. Outside, the lightning continued to fall from the sky, but it fell far away from the camp. The planet was protecting them. The question was why. Daniel thought about the message from the council. They had said Kisara was empty, dead, a world with no value except to study how life forms behaved under extreme stress. But dead worlds did not protect visitors. Dead worlds did not shift their magnetic fields. Dead worlds did not call for help. He looked at the scanners again. Deep beneath the surface, there were massive structures. Underground, hidden, shaped by intelligence. Built by something that had survived on Kisara longer than anyone in the galaxy had been alive. Get some sleep, Daniel told his team. Tomorrow we find the truth. Tomorrow we learn why the Galactic Council lied to us. None of them slept much. They all felt it. They all knew that Kisara was no longer trying to kill them. It was trying to tell them something. It was crying out from inside itself. It was begging for help. And humans, for all their faults, had always answered when someone called out in pain. Even a planet. Even an alien world. Even something so big and strange that the entire galaxy had abandoned it. The red dust of Kisara settled around the camp. The lightning painted the sky purple and gold. And inside the planet, deep below the surface, something ancient stirred. After so long, finally, someone had come who might understand. Someone had come who might care enough to listen. The intelligence beneath morning on Kisara did not bring light. It brought a darker shade of darkness and more lightning. The team moved out from their camp at dawn, heading north toward the massive structures their sensors had detected. Underground. Daniel led the way with Amanda close behind. She kept her weapon ready, not because she thought they would need it, but because it was habit. Around them, the dust swirled in patterns that seemed almost intentional. Like something was clearing a path for them to walk. Patricia was taking readings constantly. Her voice came through their communication devices, steady and precise. The magnetic field is becoming stronger. The structures below us are at least 500 meters down. They are massive. Some of them stretch for kilometers. What are they? Kevin asked. He was moving carefully, testing each step before putting his full weight down. The ground on Kisara was unstable, full of holes and weak places. That is the question, Patricia said. They do not match any architecture in the galactic database. They are not made of metal. They are not made of stone. They appear to be made of something organic. Something living. The team stopped at a ridge overlooking a vast canyon. Below them, carved into the rock walls, were shapes. Massive shapes. The canyon itself seemed to be built, designed. The walls were too smooth, too regular. And they glowed with a soft light that came from inside the rock itself. Daniel stared down at it. The canyon was easily 10 kilometers across. The structures on the walls rose thousands of meters high. They were arranged in patterns. Geometric, mathematical, intelligent. This is not a natural formation, Amanda said. It was not a question. No, Daniel agreed. Someone built this. Someone lived here. The team descended into the canyon. As they moved lower, the temperature grew warmer. The light from the walls became brighter. Daniel could see that the structures were not smooth rock. They had texture. They had growth. They looked almost alive, pulsing, moving slightly, breathing. Patricia stopped walking. She turned to look at Daniel. Her eyes were wide behind her helmet visor. "Captain," she said slowly, "the structures, they are alive. They are all alive. This entire canyon. It is all one organism." Kevin came forward and placed his hand against the wall. Through the suit glove, he could feel it. Heat, movement, a pulse like a heartbeat. Like the canyon walls themselves were blood vessels carrying life through something vast. "We need to take samples," Patricia said. She was already moving toward the wall, extending her collection tools. Then the ground moved. Not violently, not trying to throw them off. It simply moved, rose up beneath them like they were standing on something that was lifting itself. The team scrambled for purchase, but there was no need. Whatever had moved them was careful, gentle. When the ground settled, they were standing at the entrance to a massive cave. The entrance was shaped like a mouth, like a throat, like something was inviting them inside. Amanda raised her rifle. "I do not like this. The planet is not trying to kill us," Daniel said. "It is trying to communicate." They entered the cave. Inside, the bioluminescence was blinding at first. The entire cavern glowed with soft blue and green light. The walls were smooth and curved like the inside of a throat. They pulsed with that same heartbeat rhythm. As their eyes adjusted, they saw it. Deep inside the cavern, a structure that dwarfed everything they had seen. It was like a building made of living tissue. It had chambers and corridors. It had windows that showed movement inside. It had veins running through it that carried something that looked like blood. "This is a city," Patricia whispered. "This is an actual city, built by a living organism." "No," Daniel said. He understood now. He understood what they were looking at. This is not a city. This inside the organism. This is inside the planet itself. Everything we are seeing, the structures, the buildings, the canyon, the entire world, it is all the same creature. The realization hit them like a physical blow. Kazara was not a planet at all, not in the way they had always understood planets. It was a living thing, a massive, intelligent being, an organism so huge that humans had always mistaken it for a world. The team moved deeper into the cavern. They passed chambers where things moved. Biological systems. Organs, maybe. Or something else. Something that served purposes humans had no words for. Patricia found the first sign of communication. It was carved into a smooth section of wall. Patterns, symbols, arranged in a way that suggested meaning. "Recording everything," Patricia said. Her voice shook. "This is first contact. This is actual first contact with an alien intelligence." As they moved further, more symbols appeared. On the walls, on the floor, on the ceiling. They told a story of a being that had lived for millions of years. A story of something that had been trying to reach out. A story of pain. The symbols showed images of decay, of something eating away at the organism from the inside, of systems failing, of a creature in agony crying out for help. Daniel understood the message. Kazara was not trying to kill them because Kazara was not hostile. Kazara was dying, and it had brought them here to save it. The team pressed onward. Behind them, the walls of the city pulsed faster. The bioluminescence shifted from blue to green to purple. The symbols appeared and disappeared on the walls. Kazara was communicating, desperately, urgently. After hours of walking, they reached the deepest chamber. At its center was an opening, a wound. And from inside the wound came something that was not right. Something dark and twisted. something that was eating the planet from inside. Patricia's scanner went wild. "Parasitic infection," she said. "Massive parasitic infection. It is consuming the core systems. The organism is dying. It has been dying for a long time." Daniel looked at the wound. He looked at Kisara's desperate messages carved into the walls. He looked at his team. "We are going to save this planet," he said. "We are going to save it, or we will die trying. That is what humans do. We do not let things die if we can help it." Amanda lowered her rifle. Patricia looked up from her scanner. Kevin nodded slowly. "Then let's get to work," Amanda said. Inside the planet Kisara, in the deepest places where sunlight had never reached, a dying creature felt hope for the first time in 1,000 years. The humans had come. The humans understood. The humans would fight. The planet's Plath team made a camp in the lowest chamber of Kisara's living city. The walls around them hummed with biological activity. The pulsing rhythm was stronger now, desperate, like a heart beating too fast, like a creature fighting to stay alive against something that was consuming it from within. Patricia worked without sleeping. She collected samples of the parasite. She ran analysis on the infection. She studied the way it spread through Kisara's biological systems like poison through water. What she found terrified her. "The infection is old," she reported to Daniel. "Very old. Thousands of years old. Maybe older. It came from somewhere else. Not native to Kisara. Introduced somehow." "How?" Kevin asked. "A meteorite probably. Or something that came through space." The parasite attached itself to Kisara and started feeding. It has been slowly killing the planet ever since. Daniel sat in the dim light of the bioluminescent walls. Around him, the city's structures pulsed with life. Above him, kilometers of rock and living tissue. Below him, an infection that was eating away at the world. "Can we stop it?" he asked. Patricia hesitated. That hesitation told him everything. "Theoretically," she said, "if we could introduce a chemical compound that is toxic to the parasite, but not to Kisara's biological systems. If we could get it into the infection site. If we could distribute it through Kisara's circulatory systems. If we had the equipment. If we had the time. If we had everything working perfectly. Then we do it," Daniel said. Kevin was already moving. He had started mapping the planet's internal structure. He had begun identifying what looked like transportation systems, like blood vessels that goods could travel through, like a body system for moving nutrients and medicine from one place to another. "There is a network," Kevin said. He pointed at his scanner. "It connects the surface to the deep systems. If we can get a compound into this main artery, it could spread throughout the entire organism." Patricia began creating compounds. She took samples of Kisara's biological material and studied it. She tested different chemical combinations. She watched how the parasite reacted to various toxins. Some compounds killed the parasite but damaged Kisara. Some did nothing. Some made things worse. Days passed. The team did not leave the chamber. They ate recycled meals from their supplies. They drank water that Kisara provided, water that seeped from openings in the walls. The planet was taking care of them, feeding them, keeping them alive. Amanda noticed something strange. The creatures on the surface had stopped hunting. All of them. According to the sensors, the predators were staying still, dormant, like they were waiting for something. "Kisara is controlling them," she said to Daniel. "The planet. It is controlling all the life on its surface." "Of course," Daniel said. "They are not separate creatures. They are part of the organism, like cells in a body, like blood cells and skin cells and neurons. They are all part of one thing." The realization changed how they thought about everything. The deadly storms. Not the planet attacking. The planet protecting itself. The predatory creatures. Not hunting, defending. Everything was part of one organism trying to survive. On the 5th day, Patricia made the breakthrough. "I have it," she said. Her voice shook. A compound, based on minerals that exist deep in the planet's crust, combined with a catalyst from Kasara's own biology. It kills the parasite without harming the host organism. She showed them the formula. Complex, elegant, perfect. "How much do we need?" Kevin asked. "Thousands of liters," Patricia said. "Maybe millions. The infection is vast. We need to treat it at multiple points. We need to be strategic about placement." Kevin was already calculating. He was identifying the major arteries, the chambers where the infection was thickest, the places where they could inject the compound and have it spread through the maximum area. "I can do it," he said. "I can design a distribution system. We can use the planet's own systems. Create injectors. Place them at critical points. Release the compound in waves." "How long?" Daniel asked. 3 weeks, Kevin said. "If everything works. If Kasara cooperates. If nothing goes wrong. Then we work for 3 weeks," Daniel said. He opened the communication to the transport ship waiting in orbit. His message was simple. "We need supplies. We need equipment. We need 3 more weeks. Kasara's infection can be treated. The planet can be saved. Send what we need." The response came back within hours. The Galactic Council had denied the request. Kasara was a dead world. The mission was over. Daniel and his team were to evacuate immediately or be left behind. Daniel deleted the message. Kevin and the team worked through day and night cycles that meant nothing on Kasara. They built injectors from salvaged equipment and parts they crafted from materials they found in the ancient city. Patricia refined her compound until it was perfect. She tested it. She retested it. She verified every component. Amanda maintained their defenses, even though they did not need them. She kept watch. She kept the team safe. She was ready for anything that might go wrong. Daniel coordinated everything. He made the decisions. He pushed the team forward when they wanted to stop. He reminded them why they were doing this. Not because they were ordered to. Not because anyone cared what happened to them. But because a living world was dying and they were the only ones who cared enough to help. When everything was ready, Kevin activated the first injector. Deep beneath the surface, in the lowest chambers of Kasara's body, the compound flowed into the infection. The planet shook. The walls pulsed violently. The light flickered. For a moment, everyone thought they had made a terrible mistake. For a moment, they thought they had killed Kasara instead of saving it. Then the light stabilized. The pulsing became stronger. The walls seemed to glow brighter. Kasara was fighting back. The compound was working. The planet was attacking the infection with its own systems, using the chemical weapon they had provided. "It is working," Patricia said. She was crying. Tears floated inside her helmet. "It is actually working." Kevin activated the second injector. Then the third. Then the fourth. Across Kasara's body, at strategic points deep below the surface, the compound flowed. The infection began to die. The planet's heartbeat, which had been racing and desperate for so long, began to slow, to regulate, to find a normal rhythm. Daniel placed his hand on the wall of the chamber. Even through the suit, he could feel the change. Kasara's pain was fading. The disease was dying. The planet was healing. "We did it," Amanda said. "No," Daniel said. "Kasara did it. We just gave it the weapon. Kasara fought the infection. Kasara healed itself. We just gave it help when it needed it most." The walls of the city glowed brighter. The entire chamber filled with light. blue and green and gold and colors that had no names. Kazara was singing. A living planet's voice was filling the chamber. A song of recovery, of survival, of gratitude. And on the surface, far above, all the creatures that had been still and waiting began to move again. They moved not in hunger, but in celebration. Kazara's body was healing. Kazara's children were rejoicing. The humans sat in the chamber and listened to a world be saved. The treatment begins. 3 weeks turned into 4. The team remained in the chamber as Kazara's infection continued to die. The compound they had injected was spreading through the planet's biological systems, like healing medicine through a healing body. The parasite was losing ground, dying in slow waves across Kazara's internal structure. Patricia monitored every change. The infection zones were shrinking. The damaged tissue was beginning to repair itself. Kazara was not just surviving. Kazara was recovering. The infection in the southern hemisphere is 90% dead, Patricia reported. The eastern sector is 70% clear. The core systems are 95% healed. At this rate, Kazara will be infection-free in 2 more weeks. Kevin was monitoring the distribution network. The compound was flowing perfectly through the planet's biological arteries. It was reaching places they could never have accessed manually. Kazara's own systems were carrying the medicine to the deepest wounds. "This is amazing," Kevin said. He was exhausted but excited. "Kazara's body is helping us. The planet is guiding the compound. It is sending it where it is needed most. The organism is fighting back. It is using what we gave it to save itself." Amanda monitored communications. The messages from the transport ship were becoming angrier. The Galactic Council was demanding explanations. They wanted to know why Daniel had not evacuated. They wanted to know why the team was still on Kazara. They wanted to know what the humans were doing. Daniel did not respond. He had made a choice. He had chosen to help Kazara instead of obey the Council. That choice had consequences. But the consequences mattered less than saving a living world. On the 49th day, something changed. Kazara's heartbeat reached a normal rhythm. The infection was gone. Not dying anymore. Gone. The parasite had been completely eliminated from the planet's systems. The team felt it first. The walls of the chamber pulsed with new strength. The bioluminescence became a steady, healthy light. The whole chamber hummed with a sound that was almost like music. A sound of a creature breathing easy for the first time in 1,000 years. Patricia collapsed into a chair. Tears were streaming down her face. She was laughing and crying at the same time. "Kazara is healed," she said. "The planet is healed. We did it. We actually did it." Kevin was checking his equipment. His hands were shaking. All systems are functioning normally. All infection markers are clear. Kazara's biological systems are operating at optimal levels. The planet is healthy. Amanda was quiet. She was looking at the walls of the chamber, at the city that had asked for help and received it. She was thinking about what it meant. A living world. A conscious organism the size of a planet. An alien intelligence that had been dying, and humans had saved it. Daniel made a decision. He opened the communication to the transport ship and the Galactic Council. "This is Captain Daniel Foster," he said. "The mission on Kazara is complete. The planet is alive. It is an intelligent organism. It was infected with a parasitic disease. The infection is now cured. Kazara has been saved." The response came quickly. Not in words, but in orders. The Council was sending official representatives. The Council was launching an investigation. The Council was demanding that Daniel bring all data and return immediately. But something else came with those orders. Something the Council had not expected. A message came through from every species in the Galactic Council. Not official messages. Personal ones. Individual beings from across the galaxy sending words to Daniel and his team. The news had spread. What the humans had done had become known. A team that had been sent to die had instead saved a living world. Up here, Valen scientists sent a message. Your compassion does you credit. We would have abandoned this world. You saved it. That is the difference between survival and honor. A Korath military commander sent. Your team showed courage we have rarely seen. This act will change how we see humanity forever. A human diplomat was already working with the council. She was negotiating. She was arguing that Kisara needed protection. That Kisara needed help, not exploitation. That humanity had a responsibility to help monitor the planet's recovery. Daniel gathered his team one more time in the chamber. The council is coming, he told them. They will want answers. They will want to study Kisara. They will want to understand what we found here. What do we tell them? Amanda asked. We tell them the truth, Daniel said. Kisara is alive. Kisara is intelligent. Kisara is grateful. And we are not going to let anyone hurt this planet ever again. Kevin nodded. Patricia nodded. Amanda smiled for the first time since they had landed on Kisara. Then we stand together, Amanda said. Whatever comes next, we stand together. The walls of the chamber pulsed with light. Kisara understood. The planet that had been dying now had defenders. A team of humans who had chosen compassion over obedience. Who had chosen to save a world instead of follow orders. 3 days later, the council's investigation team arrived. Scientists, diplomats, military observers. They descended to the surface and made their way to the chamber. What they found was not a death world. What they found was a living planet. What they found was proof that humans were capable of something the council had never expected. Mercy, sacrifice, the willingness to stand against the entire galaxy to protect something that could not protect itself. The head of the investigation was a being from an ancient species, one of the oldest in the council. She walked into the chamber and placed her hand on the wall exactly as Kevin had done weeks before. She felt the pulse. She felt Kisara's heartbeat. She felt the health flowing through the planet's biological systems. This is remarkable, she said. This is not just a discovery. This is a transformation. Humanity has not just explored a world. Humanity has saved one. She turned to Daniel. Her ancient eyes studied him for a long moment. The Galactic Council made a mistake, she said. The Council believed humans were only good for difficult work, for dangerous missions, for expendable labor. But the Council was wrong. Humans are good for more than that. Humans are capable of choosing compassion when the easy choice would be to abandon the suffering. Daniel did not say anything. He did not need to. His team had done the work. Kisara was alive. That was enough. The investigation team began their work. They studied Kisara's biology. They documented the cure. They examined the parasite that had been destroying the planet. They collected data that would change everything the galaxy understood about life itself. But more importantly, they reported to the Galactic Council that Kisara was a living intelligence. That the planet had rights. That the planet deserved protection. And for the first time in the galaxy's history, the Council voted to protect the world not for what it could provide, but for what it was. A living being deserving of life. The vote was not unanimous. Some species still saw Kisara as a resource to exploit. But the vote passed. Kisara was safe. Kisara was protected. Daniel Foster and his team had changed the galaxy. They had done it not with weapons or force, but with compassion and skill and the stubborn refusal to let something die when they could save it. That was the human way. The second team, 3 months after Kazara's infection was cured, the Galactic Council voted to send a full recovery team to the planet. Not an exploration team. Not a military force. A medical team. A restoration team. Scientists and engineers dedicated to helping Kazara fully heal. Daniel Foster was offered command of the project. He accepted. Amanda Webb accepted as his second. Kevin Chase and Patricia Morris agreed to stay on as lead specialists. What had started as a suicide mission had become a salvage operation. What had been the end had become a beginning. The transport that carried them down to Kazara was large. It carried equipment that had never been sent to an alien world before. Medical scanners that could image a planet's internal systems. Biological analysis tools that could examine Kazara's damaged tissues. Breeding chambers for cultivating compounds that could accelerate healing. The first thing they did was establish a proper research facility in the deepest chamber of Kazara's city. They set up equipment around the healing planet. They installed monitoring systems that could track Kazara's recovery in real time. They created a laboratory where Patricia could continue developing treatments to help the planet rebuild damaged systems. Patricia's work was the most critical. The parasite had done massive damage. It had not just been killing Kazara. It had been destroying tissue that was essential to the planet's functioning. Some of that damage could heal naturally. Some of it needed help. She developed a series of specialized compounds. Nutrients designed to feed Kazara's damaged cells. Growth factors that could accelerate healing. Immune compounds that could help Kazara fight off any residual infection that might be hiding in remote areas. Kevin worked on infrastructure. The parasite had damaged Kazara's internal systems. Channels that distributed nutrients were clogged with dead tissue. Passages that carried vital fluids were blocked. Kevin designed systems to clear these blockages. He created injection ports that could deliver healing compounds directly to the damaged zones. Amanda led the surface operations. With Kazara healed, the surface was becoming safer. The predators were becoming less aggressive. The storms were becoming less severe. The planet was waking up from its long illness. Amanda's job was to explore the surface safely and understand what Kazara's world was like when it was healthy. What they found amazed them. The surface of Kazara was not barren and hostile. It was alive with biology. Vast ecosystems existed in protected zones. Creatures that were part of Kazara's body, but also lived independent lives. A world within the world. There were forests of crystal-like plants that grew from the red soil. There were creatures that flew through the purple sky. There were oceans filled with life forms that scientists had never seen before. Kazara's surface was beautiful when it was not poisoned by infection. Daniel spent his time coordinating everything. He managed the team. He communicated with the Galactic Council. He worked to get Kazara everything it needed. He became the translator between human civilization and an alien world. 6 months into the recovery operation, something changed. Kazara began to communicate more clearly. The symbols on the walls of the city were not just messages anymore. They were becoming something like a language. Patricia worked to understand it. She developed a system of interpretation based on biological patterns and electromagnetic signals. One day, she came to Daniel with a translation that made him understand something profound. Kazara is not just grateful, Patricia said. Kazara is aware. The planet understands what we are doing. It understands that humans came to help when the rest of the galaxy abandoned it. It understands that humans showed compassion when they could have just left. What is it trying to say? Daniel asked. Patricia showed him the translation. A message from Kazara itself. From the consciousness that lived inside the planet. Thank you, Patricia read. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being willing to die to save me. Humanity is different from all the other species in the galaxy. Humanity chooses compassion over profit. Humanity chooses mercy over safety. That is a gift I did not expect. That is a gift I will not forget. Daniel felt the weight of that message. He understood what it meant. Kizara was not just a world that had been saved. Kizara was a being that had learned something about humanity that most of the galaxy still did not understand. A year after the recovery team arrived, Kizara's infection was completely gone. The planet's damaged systems were healing. The ecosystem was recovering. Life was returning to normal. The world that had been called a Deathworld by the Galactic Council was becoming something else. It was becoming a place of beauty and life and intelligence. But the hardest part was not saving Kizara. The hardest part was dealing with what came after. The Galactic Council wanted to study Kizara further. Some species wanted to establish research stations on the planet's surface. Some wanted to send mining teams to extract minerals that Kizara's biology produced. There were species who wanted to make Kizara into a resource to be used. Daniel stood in the council chamber and argued against every proposal. Amanda supported him. Patricia brought biological data showing what would harm Kizara. Kevin explained why industrial development would damage the planet's recovery. But it was Kizara itself that made the most powerful argument. The council had installed communication systems on the planet's surface. For the first time, the galaxy could hear Kizara speak directly. The planet sent a message to every species in the council. "I am alive because humans chose to save me," Kizara said. The message was broadcast across the galaxy. "I exist today because one team of humans was willing to stand against the Galactic Council's orders and do what was right. I ask this council to respect what humans have done. I ask this council to protect my recovery. I ask this council to let me heal in peace." That message changed everything. The galaxy had never heard an alien world speak directly before. Had never heard a planet ask for protection. Had never been confronted with the reality that what they had called a death world was actually a conscious being deserving of respect. The council voted. The vote was overwhelming. Kizara would be protected. The planet would be left to recover undisturbed. Industrial development would be forbidden. Military bases would not be built. Kizara would be allowed to heal and grow and become what it was meant to be. 2 years after the recovery team arrived, Daniel made the decision to return to human space. His team was exhausted but satisfied. Kizara was healed. Kizara's systems were functioning normally. The planet was strong again. Before he left, he returned to the deepest chamber of Kizara's city one final time. He placed his hand on the wall and felt the pulse. The heartbeat of a living world. A world that had been dying and now was alive. A world that owed its life to humans who had dared to care. "Thank you," Kizara said through the communication system. "Thank you for teaching the galaxy that life is valuable. Thank you for being different." Daniel did not answer in words. He simply left his hand on the wall for a long time, feeling the connection between human and world. Feeling the knowledge that they had done something that would never be forgotten. Amanda stood beside him. Kevin and Patricia stood with them. 4 humans who had been sent to die on a death world and had instead saved the living. Intelligence. When they boarded the transport that would take them back to human space. The entire surface of Kizara glowed with light. The planet was saying goodbye. The planet was showing its gratitude. The planet was proving that it understood what had been done. The transport lifted off. Daniel watched Kizara shrink beneath him. The red and black surface. The purple sky. The world that had been dying and now was alive. "They will never see humans the same way again," Amanda said. "No," Daniel agreed. "The Galactic Council will never see us the way they did before. We are not just workers anymore. We are not just soldiers. We are the species that chooses compassion. We are the ones who will sacrifice for others. We are the humans. Back on Kasara, in the deepest chambers of its living city, the planet continued to heal. Its heartbeat was strong. Its systems were functioning. Its infection was gone. It was alive because humans had decided that a suffering world was worth saving. The Galactic Council would remember this story forever. They would remember the humans who had been sent to die and had instead changed the galaxy. They would remember that compassion could be stronger than weapons. They would remember that life was valuable even when it was alien and strange. Humanity had proven something that day on Kasara. It had proven that humans were capable of more than the galaxy had ever expected. The galaxy had sent humans to die. The galaxy had received something far more valuable. It had received a lesson in mercy. A lesson written in the blood of a living world that humans had chosen to save.